Alright mate, how you doing and welcome back to another IMO episode. And this week, in my opinion, Man City are the real deal. And unless we see some big transfer window deals from the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal and Man United, the City boys could have the title wrapped up by Christmas. 4 games, 10 goals. That's what we're looking at with Man City. We're also looking at 4 games, no goals conceded. Not hard maths to do there. Their goal difference is plus 10. The next best teams after Man City in terms of goal difference in the league are Crystal Palace, Leicester, Swansea and my boys West Ham, who all have a plus 3 goal difference. That's not to mention the likes of United, Chelsea and Arsenal, who all have goal difference worse than that. That's already 7 goals difference between City and their closest rivals after just 4 games. So why are City looking so good already? I'll tell you why. Because they've won a game called the transfer window. Big signings from Man City. We've seen them buy a massively sought after centre-back in Otamendi. And we've seen them spend some serious money on some attacking midfielders, Sterling and De Bruyne, costing over £100 million together. I don't even know what they're going to do when De Bruyne starts playing because they haven't even used him yet and they're already smashing people left, right and centre. Last season for me, you could tell they were lacking a little bit. I mean, the likes of David Silva and Yaya Toure have been amazing servants to the club and still have an unbelievable amount to offer, but they needed to bring in some fresh talent and not just build a team around those 2 guys plus Aguero, of course. By bringing in Sterling and De Bruyne and the energy levels these guys are going to bring, they've absolutely created a squad that, attacking wise at least, could be impossible to compete with. Now obviously one thing we should quickly touch on here is financial fair play and how City's spending might affect that. Now the sanctions were lifted this season. They were obviously punished previously for overspending on what they're allowed to spend based on how much they generate as a club. This season they've obviously invested a lot in their playing squad and this may lead to future punishments unless they can prove that they've been able to spend this money because it's money they've made elsewhere. It's a little bit complicated, but I know a lot of people are looking at it thinking, how can City afford to spend this much, more than anyone else is spending based on the business they do, based on the money they bring in? And the answer is, I don't know how they're going to prove it. I mean, are they going to get some very lucrative sponsorships in from friends of the owners? Are they going to sort of play with the rules and legal loopholes of financial fair play? I'm not sure, but for now at least it's going to be allowed and their competitors just have to deal with it. I mean, Man United and Arsenal, for example, they've got the money to spend too, they're just not spending it right now for some reason. Meanwhile, Chelsea, Man United and Arsenal are not looking great. I mean, let's face it, Chelsea and Man United both lost this weekend to Crystal Palace and Swansea. They're not results you would have expected in previous years. Now that slightly proves the growing quality of the Premier League. The TV money has allowed clubs like Swansea and Palace to get really competitive squads and take on and sometimes beat the big boys. But generally, you'd expect Chelsea and United, with the sort of budgets they've got and the players they've got, to win these games. Likewise, yes, Arsenal may have got 3 points, but they only managed 1 goal against Newcastle, who had 10 men for a large part of the game. They'll be disappointed with that one. And Liverpool were another team who hadn't conceded a goal before this weekend, but they went down 3-0 at home to West Ham. Not good for them. Chelsea are probably the only club that you could argue could compete with City with the squad they already have in place. But for me, United and Arsenal both need at least a striker, if not more names to come in. I don't think we're going to see that in Arsene Wenger's case. He doesn't tend to panic buy. And Man United, they need to bring someone in. Because if they don't, City are just going to keep opening up that gap. And you know what? We shouldn't be that surprised by City's dominance in this Premier League campaign so far. Let's not forget, this is a club that's won the title twice in the last 4 seasons. They know how to win the Premier League. Obviously, the big challenge for Man City is the Champions League. They need to make some serious progress in that. If they can get to like a semi-final, maybe not even a final, just a semi-final, that will really show the rest of the clubs in Europe that they mean business. And I feel like this season, they could have the squad and the versatility they need to do that. Raheem Sterling got his first goal for the club in the Premier League this weekend. That will be a weight off his shoulders, obviously with such a big price tag. The young Englishman could have felt the pressure. It could have been a Fernando Torres-like situation, who also left Liverpool for around the £50 million mark. But Sterling has got that monkey off his back, and I'm sure he'll go on to score a lot more goals, and the City fans will be very happy to see him play for them. The only question mark for me with the arrival of De Bruyne is, where is he going to play? I know he's very versatile, as is Sterling, as is Silva. Traditionally, they've had Silva in that number 10 spot behind Aguero, behind the striker. De Bruyne likes to play there. So are we going to see Silva move out wide, where traditionally he's been less effective, or are we going to see De Bruyne pushed out wide with Sterling on the other wing and then Silva in the middle. What do you think Man City should go with? Obviously, they've got a lot of options now. They can bring players in and out. If they get injuries or anything like that, they're going to be solid. Don't forget as well, Otamendi is yet to make an appearance for City. When they get him involved, he could even take their defence to higher levels. But as long as Mangala and company are doing what they're doing, along with Joe Hart not conceding goals, then they're going to be happy either way. Now, before we finish today's episode of IMO, I thought we'd take a look at some of the potential transfers that Arsenal, Man United and Chelsea could make in order to have a title challenge against Man City. Because if they don't make some of these signings, I think they'll get left behind. Now, as I said earlier, Chelsea's squad is actually quite strong already. It could argue that they could compete with Man City as they are, but for some reason, it's not working. I think they need to bring a big name in to kind of change the way they play. And the people they're looking at, obviously, apart from John Stones, which could or could not happen, is Paul Pogba. It would be potentially a record-breaking transfer value of 87.5 million pounds, a crazy amount of money. Is this a rumour or is this something you could see happening? Let me know in the comments below. Meanwhile, we've seen Anthony Martial linked with a number of clubs, including Chelsea and Man United, looking at around the £36 million mark. That's a lot of money for someone who hasn't even played a competitive game for France yet. He's still very young, but he's got bags of potential. There's no doubt about that. Do you think Martial will be the right signing for someone like Man United, who for me, they lack pace in the attacking positions? Apart from Memphis, everyone else around them. I mean, let's look at the team they played against Swansea. Rooney, Herrera and Mata. All quality players playing alongside Memphis, but they do lack pace. They need someone else in those positions that has got a little bit of pace, to take on the opposition. And that could be Martial, that could be someone else. Who would you like to see Man United go in for? Charlie Austin is another name we've heard about, obviously been linked with a number of clubs this window. No one really wanting to take the risk on him, but because of these potential injury problems he has, maybe a move to someone like Man United, where he wouldn't be the first choice striker, could be a good shout. He could sit on the bench, be used for different cup games, come on when Rooney couldn't play, or if they wanted to drop Rooney to number 10. Do you think Charlie Austin would be a good signing for United, or do you think he should go to a smaller club, like, where he came from at QPR, maybe a West Ham or maybe a Villa or someone like that? Another player that a lot of teams will be looking at is Bafétimbi Gomis, who keeps scoring for Swansea, doing that pounce like a panther celebration. I love that. He's got a 7 million buyout clause. He's 30 years old. 7 million for someone who scored 4 goals in 4 games in the Premier League could be a decent little deal. Again, for someone like United, they could take him, have him as a backup striker. Maybe Arsenal could go in for him. They need someone as a potential placement for Giroud, but for me, he's not a big enough name for Arsenal. If they're going to bring in a big striker, they need to be a game changer in the way that Ozil and Sanchez were in years past. Looking at Benzema, this is a deal that's been talked about for years. For me, it's never going to happen until Real Madrid sign a replacement for him first. So is there anyone out there that you can see Arsenal bringing in at this stage in the window? Let me know below. The last name I'm going to mention is Edinson Cavani, who's been talked about again, linked to Arsenal and to Chelsea and even to United. Is he going to come to the Premier League? Should we expect a Uruguayan to arrive in the UK? Or do you think he'll stay put in PSG? And if he does come, how much do you think he should come for? And what club should he go to? Hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, please drop a like on the video. Subscribe for more. I'll see you when you're older. But remember, this has all been in my opinion. Don't go change it. Bang.